You know, I was a believer. I I was a believer of this ideology of self improvement. That started when I was quite young, like at the beginning, when I was still a teenager. And for some reason, I started reading those books and listening to those videos. And they did take me long to click and start be obsessed about the idea of becoming the best version of myself. So when I started this journey, I was absolutely convinced that I was doing right. And I was even a bit arrogant because I was thinking that I was better than everyone around me because people wasn't reading the same book as me and they were not having the same self-discipline as I did. And to be quite honest, this obsession for self-improvement did move me quite a lot. But I didn't realize how toxic and how much impact it had bring to my life for those years. And that's exactly what I want to share with you today. So hopefully it will help you to get rid of those ideas that I believe to be extremely harmful. When I started reading those books and watching those videos, I thought to myself that I was moving myself and I was running after my goals, my accomplishment. And at that period, my goal, first of all, was to lose weight, to gain muscle. So I've become obsessed with those topics. And if you've watched other video on that channel, you probably already know the outcome. But what ended up happening is that I got results with my like fitness and dieting journey. And the more I was seeing the reflection on the mirror, the more I was feeling proud and excited and feeling that I was becoming this best version of myself, the more I become strict and self-disciplined, as they say on this topic. But in fact, what was happening is that I was starving myself. I was starving my body. I was going deep into restriction. And I did develop something that no one talk about, which is addiction to, not to sugar, not to food, not to substances, but addiction to control. You know, I was using this app that you put your like calorie and macro in, and I was just like constantly watching what I was doing. Where was I spending calorie, and was I counting right? So I had my scale for food, not only the scale for my body that I was using 3 times a day, but also the scale for my food. And I was controlling absolutely everything. Let me give you an example. When I was eating watermelon, realized I was eating the watermelon and I was, weighting the watermelon with the skin. I feel a bit ashamed to share that with you, but I have to be honest about the journey. And then I was eating the watermelon, and then I was weighing the skin of the watermelon to know exactly what quantity of watermelon I actually eat. How crazy is this? But I couldn't realize it. And you probably know, and it's quite obvious, that doing those things, like going so deep, and I was really thinking, oh, that's because I'm becoming the best version of myself and I'm improving, blah, 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 blah. So I did reach the extreme of that. When I was doing that, I was actually hurting myself, and it didn't take long before I started to see the first sign of my eating disorder, binge eating, arriving. But it took me a few years to really become aware of it and to move and to heal from it. But I mean, that was one of the category, like losing weight, gaining muscle, and that's the main topic. One of the main topic I talk about on this channel, about like this control addiction and those eating disorder. But the other thing that started happening is that I had those goals about developing my business, making money. And at the time I was student, I was a social worker student, and I was doing 3 different jobs. Like I was working in a bar on the weekend. I was doing phone calls, cold calls on the week after studying, and I was working in an institution for old people. I was doing all of this, and I started to read those books like A Miracle Morning and shit like this. And I started to not only restrict myself with food, but also with sleep and with rest, because every single minute of my day had to be productive, had to be, like I had to think, and I was always feeling guilty. I was always feeling guilty, thinking, oh, I should have done more. I could have accomplished more. So I started to wake up like an hour or two earlier to try to do the thing. But of course, I was exhausted. I was absolutely exhausted. I was starving. I was exhausted, but I was keep pushing myself. And for a lot of people, they will say, oh, that's so great. You're self-disciplined. You have so much motivation. You have so much. And what I had so much, to be honest, because I was thinking, oh, I'm rushing, I'm running for my goals. But the truth is that I, at this time, had so much struggles with my self-esteem, with my identity. I was doing my coming out, I just got through a breakup, and I was bringing all those trauma and things from my childhood. And I was thinking, I am running to my goals, to the best version of myself. But the truth is, I was just running away from my pain, means from myself. I was pretty much considering that who I was not good enough to be lived and to be accepted and to be embraced. I was just thinking, oh, I'm fat, not good enough. And I had this like extremely low self-esteem and those insecurities about my value and my identity. And I didn't want it. I didn't have the courage. And I wasn't strong enough to face it. And don't get me wrong, I have so much compassion and love for who I was at this time, and I completely like embraced this. But I didn't realize that everything I was doing was a way to actually hurt myself. It was self-destructing behavior. It was actually every single action, book, video that I was watching was only feeding the same pattern. And this pattern was, who I am now is not enough. I need to change with sacrifice, with doing effort, with self-discipline, with all this energy to become someone else. And that is an absolutely clear message that all those behavior was feeding this narrative, was reinforcing this narrative. Because if I could have just stopped all this bullshit and sit down in a chair and watch who I am and understand that I am lovable and I am valuable, whatever are the circumstances of my life and wherever I'm at, and I could be present to myself, to my wound, to my struggles, to my insecurities. I could be here with myself. I could be loyal to myself. It would have stopped all of this. It would have pushed me out of this disgusting ideology of self-improvement that I get caught in. Why? Because self-improvement is lying to you, was lying to me by telling me, yeah, do a little bit more. And when you will accomplish that goal, you will finally be fulfilled and happy and safe. And that is a lie. It doesn't work. Because you're constantly putting your self-value, self-esteem in something that is in the future, that is not you, that is outside of you. So you're putting condition that who you are right now is not good enough. And the paradox is that you're thinking, oh, I want to change. And I will change by being with this future idealistic version of myself. But that is paradoxical because you cannot change by being somewhere else. If you want to change something in you, you need to be there. You need to be present. You need to face it, right? So that's why people who get caught on this spiral, toxic spiral of self-improvement, as I've been, are thinking that they are changing, are thinking that they are going closer to that goal. But in fact, they're just turning around and living the same pattern. I'm not good enough. Okay, I need a new goal. Okay, I'm not good enough. And even when we accomplish those goals, it doesn't fill the void inside. Because the problem have never been your body. The problem have never been your finances. The problem have never been your circumstances. Those are only manifestation. Those are only symptoms. They are not the real problem. The only problem that I had was inside me. And the only place I could really make a difference and really make a change was inside me. And I'm so glad that after a few years of struggle, eating disorder, anxiety, starving myself, being so hard and harsh with myself, living in a constant fear of not being enough and a guilt. You know, you wake up in the morning and you have your to-do list and you're just feeling overwhelmed with all the things you have to do and you're just thinking, what's the point? What is the point? Where are you going? Where I was going? At the end, we will die. And a lot of people, I think, die without have ever being present to who they truly are, being awake. And I am very glad that I had the chance to finally wake up, to finally stop rushing after the best version of myself, but just to be present for myself, to be loyal to myself, to understand I don't need to be anything else than who I am right now. And that doesn't mean resigning and being like, oh, I won't change and I will be like this forever. That it is not the case. It's the complete opposite. It's just I gonna take myself gently, with compassion, with love, with radical acceptance of who I am, with all the beauty and all the shadow and all the shame and all the insecurities and the facts and everything. For what reason? Because it's me. And I'm the only person with who I will spend the rest of my life. So I'm going to reject all those books. I'm going to reject all those self-improvement. And I'm going to be loyal to my true. And as I love to say, true is not something we can understand. True is something we feel. True is a feeling. And our goal must be not to try to follow outside truths of people who are trying to sell their shit, but to follow our inner true. Feel your true, follow it. Hope that have been helpful. Let me know what you think in the comment, and I will meet you on the next episode. Have a good one.